Welcome. This is Ralph Bivins, the Ralph Bivins Project, and we're here talking today with Mark Davis. Mark Davis is founder of Davis Commercial, which he founded in a long time ago, 2001, isn't it? That's right.
A long time ago.
But it goes by fast. Anyway, but yeah, he knows Houston. He knows every inch of property, and in this town, especially in the inner loop, he's done a lot in there. And Museum District, Montrose area, we got that covered like a blanket. So, what are you seeing in that that market? What's excited you about the Museum District of the Montrose area? What are you seeing that's lately that's been pretty interesting?
Yeah. Well, first, thanks for having me, Ralph. I always appreciate talking to one of the expert journalists, the expert real estate journalists in Houston. So it's always a privilege. Yeah, it's a very active market, and it's been that way now for, ever since COVID, several years now. Aside from high-rise office, which obviously is not going on anywhere for the most part, it's sort of clicking on all cylinders. Retail's strong, probably more demand than there is supply typically. Prices are going up for retail space, land, et cetera. Multifamily, there's new construction going on. So I'd say just overall, the Inner Loop Museum Montrose area is really thriving and continues to do so.
Yeah. Sometimes you wonder what's driving all this. We have people complaining about prices right up and down in the grocery store. I understand how consumers feel that way. But you think, where's all this growth coming from? Especially warehouses. It's like, God, I get a warehouse construction announcement every day, and I think, where's this demand, man?
I know.
It never stops,
I know. And I do feel like, the Inner Loop, Houston, which I love, but to a large degree, it's a little homogenous in the sense that I guess the best way to say it is inside the loop has more older buildings. It's all redevelopment versus sort of new development because, the city grew from inside the loop out. So I think because of some of those characteristics, it's a little more unique. Certainly it's more convenient to all the major employment centers, the Texas Medical Center, downtown. It's easy to get around from inside the loop. And the fact that it's a little different than most other parts of the city, which might be, again, a little more homogenous. Not to say it's a bad thing. I'm just saying that I think sometimes people appreciate the uniqueness because Houston isn't all that old as a major metropolitan city, as we know. So, there's a few more older buildings. It's just a little different and unique and in a lot of positive ways that I think drive people to want to be here as well.
Yeah, I know. I keep hearing, we added 200,000 population last year. It's pretty phenomenal. That's a lot of population growth.
Yeah, I know.
Speaking of redevelopments, one that's kind of in progress, I guess. Pretty high profile site, southwest corner, Westheimer and Montrose Boulevard, Skanska's property there, and it's what we've seen the first half of the redevelopment. They tore down the strip center, which has specs and it's half price books or something, but it's a pretty nice sized piece of property at a pretty prominent location. What do you hear about that? What do you think about that prime corner?
Yeah, it's a great corner. I mean, it's main of the whole market area, so it is definitely the spot to be. And the Skanska folks, who always do a terrific job and are very conscientious of, I think, their impact on the neighborhood, have sort of studied it and have restudied it and restudied it because of the changing environment, particularly with office. So I believe their latest iteration is to do away with an office component, which they originally had, and just do retail and residential. And that's what they're working on now, which makes sense, right? There's just the demand for new high-rise office, as we know, is kind of next to nothing for the most part. So, I haven't seen any timelines, but I know that's what they're working towards.
But that's like a couple of acres, isn't it? It's
Yes.
a pretty good size piece of property. And I guess next to that, just south of that, we just had a groundbreaking on, the Disco Kroger site.
Right.
That full block, Lovett, I guess, Lovett, Hawthorne, and right. But it was a big Kroger, and for many years been shut down for several years, and now it's going kind of, I guess, is it mid-rise residential?
Yeah, it's mid-rise. I think it's about 5 stories or so. Class A, no retail on the bottom, strictly all residential. And they've owned that property now for several years, but finally got around to being able to develop it. And yeah, it'll be a nice improvement. That whole sort of little intersection over there, there's just a lot that has been going on between that. And then, Covenant House just opened their $50 million brand new campus behind that, which has been great. And then Redome redeveloping the shopping center that had the old Tower Theater, which is terrific. And then actually under contract, I just put under contract the property that's right behind Redome's deal across from Covenant House. It's a blue building at the corner of Yoakum and Lovett. And
like a blue, bright blue. Is it blue tile exterior? It's cool. It's very 60s modern type of look.
That's exactly right. And it's 2-story. It's about a 15,000 square foot building, and a developer has it under contract to put in an interior design firm. It's a relocation for the firm, but they're going to renovate the building. It'll look really cool, and it'll be a good addition to the neighborhood as well. So,
architecture firm's is going to buy it, you think?
They'll be the tenant. A developer is buying it, and then he's going to renovate it for the tenant.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
And of course, Covenant House. By the way, Covenant House, which assists the homeless and young people that have been mistreated and stuff. Mark Davis is on the board of directors of that, and it's a worthy cause. And I guarantee you, Mark's ethics are impeccable. So everything you help with that charity is money that's going to be used in a right way.
Oh, well, thanks for the plug. I appreciate it. But yeah, it is a wonderful cause. It's really, we cater to homeless youth that are 18 to 24. And this new facility, we kind of went from, a Chevy to a Maserati. And Houston is so philanthropic. We were able to raise the $50 million in a couple of years.
Wow.
And we're going to be able to double our capacity. It's just a wonderful facility, a wonderful cause. Of course, we still need money because we are non-for-profit, and now we have to operate it. So, shameless plug, if anybody's interested in contributing or getting involved with Covenant House, please contact me or go to the website. Would love to tell you more about it, because it's really a premier facility now that we have in Houston for homeless youth. And, so many of these kids, I'd say the majority of them, it was just a bad cosmic roll of the dice. They're good kids. They just were in the wrong place at the wrong time, or just didn't have the right opportunities or the right mentorship. And Covenant House just gets them back on their feet in different ways, whether it's mental health or job training. And then they become productive members of society and living in Houston and, doing great things. So anyway, I went on a little too long, but it's a great cause, and I'm very passionate about it. So yeah, I'm really excited to have it.
I appreciate you doing that kind of good work for the people. And I guess then we got Verdome, Steve Verdome, and he's the Tower Theater, and all that. And I think there's some adjacent retail strip next to it. He's working on that and redeveloping the whole thing.
Yeah, and I think he's fully leased, if not close to fully leased, and he put in that cool jazz club called Docks, and re-tenanted almost the whole center. And Steve's so creative. He always does a great job with these interloop projects, and they always look really cool, and he has a neat mix of tenants. So yeah, it's a welcome change to the neighborhood. And then right across the street on Westheimer, I saw the other day where Shake Shack used to be. They closed, but then PNC Bank took over their location and just opened seems like a week or two ago.
Okay.
So that's something new as well that just happened at that intersection.
Cool. No, I didn't know about that one. Well, of course, the big deal at the intersection there, kind of the northeast corner, near the former Felix Mexican restaurant, which world-class Tex-Mex enchiladas. I hated to see it go.
Right.
they did not change, over the decades. They had the same quality. It was good. But right next to that was Redome's, Montrose Collective.
Right.
And it's still there. Yeah, but a
right.
pretty notable development. Tell us what's going on there.
Yeah, very notable. Again, a great redevelopment, even though I was sorry to see Felix's go as well. But Uchi's there, which, isn't so bad. Yeah. A lot more expensive. Yeah. But yeah, Steve did a great job with that mixed-use development with the office and retail and restaurants. And, he has below-ground parking, which is unusual for Houston. I think that might take a little bit of getting used to for some folks. But as far as improvement in the neighborhood, I think it's just more of a testimonial to how desirable and strong Montrose is, because, that was a big project. And really, I guess the first real mixed use project we had in Montrose.
It's a good office and restaurants and some retail, it's totally done well. And I guess Heinz came along, and I think it was this summer they paid a pretty good penny for that and bought it from Steve for their long-term investments.
Yeah. So, I think Heinz typically knows what they're doing, so that bodes well too.
It's like 140 million, or if I recall, this is a pretty big number, pretty big sale.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
That's I know, a big sale. It's come a long way. That was well, going a little bit further south, thinking of Montrose Boulevard. You've got there's a track like West Alabama. I guess it's the southeast corner. Rudy Hubbard's got a listing on that. It's about an acre and a half that includes the Claude Wayne building there and everything. Have you heard anything about that? What their activity or?
Yeah, no, not lately. There are a couple of large tracts available for sale on Montrose. There's that one. There's the church block that's adjacent to 5000 Montrose that Larry Levine owns. And I know he's been working on that over the past couple of years. He was looking at a boutique hotel at one time and maybe some other concepts. But I believe it's still available for sale if somebody were to come along. And then there's the large tract where the Old River Cafe used to be, that is owned, I believe, by a development group, and they were going to do high-rise office, but obviously that went away. And it just kind of sits vacant now, and I really haven't heard anything lately at all about any plans for that one. But it's interesting. And if you go further north past Westheimer on Montrose, at Fairview and Montrose, there's a pretty large tract that's almost a full block that I believe Farbbones, that's been there for a while, and it can be developed as well. So there's interesting potential in the future for some really high profile, visible tracks in the area that, at some point something will happen, but prices are so expensive. All of these will have to be vertical. There's really no choice, because most of these large tracks today are going to trade anywhere between 150 and 200, 250 bucks a foot, most likely at the end of the day.
Wow. That's impressive number. And I guess just a little bit west from there, near Manille, we've got the St. Augustine Hotel, that I opened this year. Pretty impressive. Tell me a little bit about that and what you think about that.
Yeah, I love it. It's funny, Houston being the fourth largest metropolitan city in the country, we never really had any boutique hotels. The Zaza kind of, but it's large. It's not even, I'm not even sure you'd call that a boutique hotel. So it's always sort of been crazy that we didn't have any. And fortunately, the St. Augustine opened, and I love it. It's a great layout, great design, great restaurant. Although again, not for those on a budget, but it's really good. And
per set or something like that. That's and the hotel is I think it's like 70 rooms. It's not boutique, and it's not high rise. It seems like it's across the street from the museum campus, and it kind of feels right size for the area.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. Really great design too. Very open. And as I know, in fact, you've probably written about it, there's a couple more boutique hotels now that are under construction, a couple in the Heights.
Yeah. And
so I think that's a need that is finally being met that we really never had in Houston before. So I think it's a real positive thing.
Yeah, I think that, Greg Marchbanks developed St. Augustine. I believe he's involved in the New Heights project at boutique hotel under 100 units, like 50 units or something. I think they recently opened their doors like within the last few weeks. I haven't been inside, but I've seen the artwork. It looks pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, and Column Door has been a boutique hotel. I take it back.
Yeah.
They certainly have been, and really the epitome of a boutique hotel. But they were sort of by themselves in that arena. Yeah,
it was cool. I think Steve Zimmerman passed away recently,
right.
But that I remember going back way back, that he at his restaurant at the Calm Door, they had steak that kind of tracked the price of oil.
Right.
If it's different. I don't know what the prices were back then, but if it's was $30 a barrel, and you get steak for $30 or whatever.
Right.
Pretty creative marketing thing.
Yeah. Steve was great. I really liked him, and he was really early on Montrose, as between the Calm Door and then just to the south where the old Zinn's wine bar used to be. There's a pretty big, not quite a block, but he owns a large parcel over there that's, it's a vacant restaurant now, but then there's a soul food restaurant that opened there a couple months ago that's supposed to be very good. So Steve was, a bit of a pioneer in the Montrose area, and he always had a lot of energy, and I think he'll definitely be missed in the real estate community.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah.
And so go a little bit further west. Now I know you're do a lot of commercial brokerage, but you've also been doing some development. Tell us a little bit about your project on Westheimer, east of Shepherd there. Tell us about that, what you've
Yeah,
done.
sure. So, it's been a labor of love. I started acquiring those parcels, probably 10 years ago, assembling, 4 different parcels. But now what we have is there's Barcelona Wine Bar, and then Jenny's Ice Cream, and 6 little micro unit apartments that we built behind the Jenny's. And that's all kind of right on the south side of Westheimer between Woodhead and Dunleavy, right across from Empire Cafe. And the Barcelona building was originally called the Hollyfield Cleaners, built in the early 30s.
Wow.
And it was that type of business for decades and decades. Then it was purchased by a gentleman who had basically an antique mall there for probably 20 or 30 years.
Yeah.
And then we bought it from him about 10 years ago. So there's only been 3 owners, which is kind of interesting. And it's a cool building, really interesting sort of architecture that they tell me was the same architecture they used to build the Empire State Building, as far as the open trusses and that kind of style. And so, we put Barcelona in there, and they're doing really well. And then down the street, just to the east, we took what was the old antique. It was called the Old Blue House, I think, or the Old Blue Antique House. And we turned that into a Jenny's Ice Cream. And they're doing really well too. So it's interesting. If you go from Westheimer, Westheimer, maybe from Shepherd, and just go east. For a long time, there wasn't that much new redevelopment going on. It was just sort of, back in the days when people would cruise Westheimer on the weekends, when that was kind of a fun thing to do. And it was kind of more or less static. And then I'd say the past 10, 15 years, all of a sudden, you start to see a lot of redevelopment and new things happen, which I think is great. My only concern is that it loses some of the character that it's always had, which has made Montrose so neat. We redeveloped both buildings, and I was happy we were able to do it. Not sure if we saved any money, but I was glad we were able to keep the buildings, because that was important. For the most part,
excuse me, go ahead.
I was going to say, for the most part, the character's still there, but that is one concern. I would hate to see it turn into just another, just high-end retail sort of thing that looks like everything else and every other sort of high-end.
You deserve the character, and you deserve credit for it, man. And I believe what also was cool, back behind the Jenny's Ice Cream, just to the south of it, you took a parcel and did multifamily there, just micro units, that's very creative. I was impressed when I saw that.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I had a great architect, Tim Cisneros, who came up with that idea. And there's 6 units, and they're all 350 to 450 square feet. So, micro units is sort of a euphemism for efficiency apartment, but it sounds cooler. They lease for about $1,100, $1,200, $1,300 a month, just depending on the size. But they've really stayed full for the most part. If I have a vacancy, it usually leases up in a month or 2. And we get a good mix of folks. There's some Rice students, young professionals, mostly people in their 20s. Mm-hmm. But, Houston rents have gone up, as everybody knows. And it's cool little apartments in a neat area that are very affordable. So, kind of like the boutique hotels, there wasn't much of a supply of these sort of small little, we call them today micro units, although more people have started building them in the past few years. But it was sort of a new thing to Houston, and still is relatively, but more and more are popping up here and there.
Mm-hmm. What about, now shift gears for half a second, but just I want to, down south, Museum District, just north of Herman Park, all that, there's Caroline Street, all those things. always some interesting things happening there. What's your take from the museum district, Mark?
Yeah, it's funny. There's some really interesting things that have happened over the years, like the Asia Society and
Wow. Cool.
Dr. Mann developed that new Man Eye Institute building a couple years ago, where he has his office and is leasing out the space to others as well. At the same time, it still hasn't quite kind of gotten there. It's still spotty, I'd say is the best way to describe it.
Mhm.
So I think over time, it will get there, but it's a long process. It's almost like Edo, where things are happening, certainly residential, commercial, still not quite there.
Mhm.
Over time, though, you just sort of feel like it is going to happen and it will all sort of come together, but it's still sort of a work in progress, I guess is the best way to describe it.
Yeah, but the potential's there. I mean, beautiful stuff in Herman Park. That the hill and all that is pretty phenomenal. Great park. Could there be a better place to walk underneath those massive oaks in the summertime? You provide that there's a great neighborhood, and there's a lot of potential. In future years. So I think we'll see something come together in Edo and get better, and especially when the new freeway and depressing that freeway, I think will really open up Edo and to a lot of stuff in connection with downtown and what's happened with Discovery Green. Maybe Discovery Green will spill over and do some good things. So long term, I think the picture's great.
I agree. I agree. And because the Herman Park, is it called Conservancy I can never remember the name of the not-for-profit that has done all those improvements, but they spent, I can't remember the number, but it's tens of millions to improve that park. And it's just
McGovern, the McGovern Gardens or whatever they call it.
Yeah. The museums are great, and the park's wonderful, and just to have that and the museums that are close by, it's just such a special area it's like a jewel, I think, like you said. And again, what's great about Houston is we have the philanthropy to sort of keep these things going and improving. And so it's
improving and protecting, I might add, is important too. Right now, I guess you've heard that on the south side of Herman Park, there's a 9-acre parcel that belongs to the park, and the Harris County Health people, governmental that run Ben Taub and everything, want to take over that parkland and use it for an expansion of Ben Taub. And there's not that much parkland left in this town. And I think they're making a big mistake. And I know there's some very influential people that are involved in wanting to change that for medical center use. And there are people that are for, and they've spent a lot of them. They have a big plan. They've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to plan that 9 acres. And I hate to see it go away. I'm totally in favor of keeping the parkland. There's Herman Park's only 450 acres or something, and we got to think about future generations. Where are the little kids going to go play in the next century? They're going to need a place, and so I really hope that the right thing is done there, and we preserve that land for parkland.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, the more parkland, the better. There is a little bit of me that says, well, because I think you probably know that 9-acre parcel is adjacent to the hospital on the south side of, what is it, McGregor or whatever the main drag is there. Mm-hmm. So, it's not really connected to the main park, but still, once it's gone, it's gone. So,
I just hate to. We don't know. Maybe they could do something great with it, and I don't know what the park conservancy or park association has got a plan for it, but they've had some planners working on it. So hopefully hopefully they'll survive and it'll be something good.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. Mark Davis, Davis Commercial. Thanks for taking time to talk with us. And you always have good insights, and we appreciate you spending time.
Thank you, Ralph. I always appreciate speaking with you too. Thanks so much.
Thank you.